Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and every time I do this intro, I move. I don't know why, but every time it's just the key to this. But anyways, we're talking about Clash at Italy or in Italy. I don't know why I keep putting at. I think I never even. I guess in Italy is the name and the better way of saying it. Just happened on Sunday. Getting this video out as soon as possible. There'll be a bunch of videos on the channel today because of the King and Queen of the Ring. I wanted to get that started because Monday is the start of the tournament, so I'm assuming there's going to be a match. So I want to get my predictions out quick. So there'll be like 3 videos on the channel today. Hopefully, if I've done this all great and perfect. So let's start off with Cody versus Gunther. Crazy match to just put as the opening match. Like, for what it was, like, I figured we would have some type of, like, maybe craziness with somebody returning or something if you're going to do that early, maybe. But it kind of made the match just kind of a because, like, obviously they had, like, a terrible, not terrible finish, but, like, that, it's going to be a rematch type of finish with Gunther saying that he's got his leg underneath and the count shouldn't have started, which is valid, but I feel like it's one of those things. It's just let Cody win one clean. Don't put him against all these people. You're not gonna just let him just win one just outright. Just let him win a match like that. What is wrong with that? Just give him somebody that he can truly just have a match with, where he looks mostly dominant in it, and just let him win. Like they could have done that with anybody, but they just tried to do this for Cody and all that. Honestly, not a bad match. I feel like there was definitely going to be worse on this card. Both men are kind of limited to what kind of move set they have, so the excitement factor isn't going to be through the roof. But overall, technically, it was sound, and there wasn't anything that I would say like is so blatantly terrible that I would turn off wrestling and never watch it again. So I'll put it in C. But yeah, then we get to the Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill match that you could probably have the opposite effect, where there's stuff that you could see in this match that would make you turn off this match. Now, cage match, I always kind of look at just to see where everybody's kind of thinking. They're obsessed with saying this is a great match, or at least a really solid match, saying this is Jade Cargill's best match ever. That is scary because this match was not good. I feel like Rhea's ability in this match was pretty solid. I know a lot of people blame the botch on Rhea. I don't really understand that. BFAB had to get that leg up. That made everything so terrible after that because that was such a big blatant botch. And like Jade didn't have any type of wherewithal to maybe just try to kick out at least even. Like the ref had to stop and then all that just ends up being terrible with the rest of that thing. Luckily, the match ended not that long after that, but still had to have Charlotte Flair come down and do some stuff, which was honestly not a bad touch. Makes Rhea and Charlotte Flair look like they're on the same page. So if Charlotte ends up betraying her or something happens like that, we could potentially see a little bit more of a story rivalry that we never really get in women's wrestling anymore in WWE. It feels like, but overall, like I said, I think Rhea probably had a solid B match, but Jade Cargill, I just don't know what she was doing. There was just so much things, and her outfit absolutely destroyed that match. That is the worst thing I've ever seen, where you couldn't even grab her because of all of the stuff. We still don't know if it was metal or plastic or whatever. I don't even know why anybody's not even said that. That was the other thing. I've not seen anybody really talk about how difficult that outfit was, because every time she tried to grab it, every move looked terrible because she could just shove her hand in a bunch of either hard plastic or potentially metal, because it was sticking into stuff and it seems like people were getting blood. So I think at best it was like hard plastic, like what they use with the fake barbed wiring and stuff, and probably at minimum it was metal, or like maximum was that metal. But yeah, I'm gonna have to put this in D. It pains me to put that. Rhea is one of my favorite wrestlers, just like as an overall person. I don't think she's the best wrestler. I do think, like, and when you look at Mike skills, everything, I think she's way above that, because all of her other stuff brings her up for her wrestling skills, and her selling is also top tier. So when she can't have a match against somebody, I really am concerned about the other person. Even though I was a big Jade Cargill fan at AEW, and I like her look, I like everything she's done, but it's just not working right now. And I think they just really need to figure something out, give her somebody to feud with that can help her with that, and that might be Charlotte Flair, and might be able to save what we have for Jade Cargill so far. Hopefully, we'll see. Next up, we have Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar. Kind of knew this was going to be the way. They needed to flip it so they could have a best of three series. Honestly, I would have probably had the match a little bit longer. I know they were trying to make the brutality of it. And, like, obviously, Obafemi took, like, 7 F5s and was still alive and all that. But I really do think they could have definitely allowed for it to be a little bit longer and have Obafemi look a little bit stronger in the beginning of the match. I know he was supposed to be kind of, like, hit in the face and he could not figure out and do whatever he was trying to do. But it worked out. Like, I think it was an okay squash type match. I think I'd put it in C. The entertainment value, the story, whatever they're gonna do, I would put it below the Cody Gunther match, but I still think it's C and not in that D category. Next up, we have Becky Lynch versus Sol Ruka. I honestly thought this was going to be the match of the night. I do feel like they had the shenanigans with the ref, like trying to be part of the storyline, did kind of take back from some of the other aspects of the match, but not necessarily where like that I would say that it was like a drawback completely. But Becky Lynch obviously is just a solid wrestler and, has a limited move set. With Sol Ruka, she has a huge well of whatever you want to, call it with abilities that she has. So I think when you think about like that, it can be really good. Like this could be like how Becky and Lyra was, but I feel like it definitely was a little bit of a letdown compared to everything else. That being said, it's still one of the best matches, and not spoiling too much. But when we talk to Roman about Roman's match, I still think this is definitely a high contender for match of the night, even though a lot of people didn't like it. I feel like Soul did absolutely fantastic. She nailed most of her moves. Obviously, her move set is one of those where it's make or break every single time she makes anything, and I think she did overall pretty good. The counters that Becky had made the match a lot more entertaining, so I'd put it in the solid B. Next up, we had Roman versus Jacob Fatu. Honestly, I think my biggest gripe with this is just kind of the ending. I mean, the tribal combat thing is always kind of weird when it's like no DQ and all that because it's just an anything goes match. I remember somebody saying that like, oh well, like people of the bloodline are the only people that can interfere or something like that. I really think that would have been the best thing to happen here. Roman has had so many matches where he needed help, and then the one time where maybe getting help would have made the match a little bit better, they decide to just make it a clean victory. And it kind of just kills Jacob. Like, obviously, Jacob now has to fall in line. He's kind of replacing how Solo was in that bloodline, and the Usos are, bossing him around. It's just kind of stupid. I honestly really think that that whole story, I really rather have had it to be a normal match and then Jacob lose by some type of disqualification, and then they would have at least saved him a lot more. But this match just could not be saved from that. They did a bunch of good stuff. The match was super long, a lot of crowd work, a lot of other stuff. There's some pretty crazy spots, so it's definitely on the entertainment value. I still kind of think I put the Becky Lynch and Sol Ruka as the match of the night. I enjoyed that a little bit more than I enjoyed this. I'd still put it in B though, as pretty neck and neck. I think overall, I'd probably put the card at a C plus. I feel like it's really on that cusp of a line. It definitely could have been better. I think the storylines going into it were very weak, so that kind of makes it worse. We had 2 WrestleMania rematches, 2 PLEs late, which is kind of also insane. And you had Cody versus Gunther that really just kind of came out of nowhere and had no rhyme or reason to it. And then you flipped over with only really having the long 2 storylines, or the 2 that are in B, that have lasted more than a month. It feels like that's not just a WrestleMania rehash. So, yeah, I guess that's at least something there. So we'll put all of this into a C plus. We got Night of Champions and the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournaments that we will have individual videos that should come out after this video. Like, they should be an hour apart, so depending on when you're watching this, they'll be on the channel. We're going to just kind of do some predictions there, and then we're going to, yeah, and try to get a more regular scheduled video thing. The start of the month always is pretty good. I pump out a bunch more videos, and then throughout the month makes it a little bit more difficult. But if you're a fan of WWE Evolve, I do get those out pretty much a day or 2 afterwards, if not the day after, about it. So that's pretty much my most consistent video. Got shorts and all that other stuff on here for all your WWE stuff. And this has been Japan. Bye, guys.